Hi everyone, welcome to our presentation, An Ethnography, British-born Pakistani and Bangladeshi Young Men Exploring Unstable Concepts of Muslim, Islamophobia, and Racialization. This is the Appendix E, and this presentation is brought to you by Alina Heim, Jared High, and Maggie Roth. So this was a research project. It was qualitative research that looked at British-born working-class Pakistani and Bangladeshi young men and their experiences surrounding, the work and the culture. The word religion is not enough to fully describe the young men and their experiences. There was a lot of fixation on, cultural and religious boundaries, ethnic and national categories of difference, and just this overall separation socially based on their culture, their religion, their ethnic background. We talk about a little bit about racialization of religion. So what role does religion play in that? And the research really wanted to help understand these young men, their experiences, and really looking at a well-rounded view of more than just one category. So there were ages 16 to 21 working class young men. They were born in Birmingham and of Pakistani and Bangladeshi descent. Over 3 years of research, and they had 48 recordings of 30 Pakistani and 18 Bangladeshi participants. Most of the young men had attended the local secondary schools, sixth form colleges, and further education colleges. They were all, again, part of that working class. The group and life history interviews were used to explore incidents and experiences important to the young men. They did group interviews at the local community center, and from those interviews, they were able to kind of pull from them different, experiences, different observations, conversations, and get a good representation of, what they were trying to look for. The life interviews were done in a variety of places. They were used in community organizations, local cafes, but all the interviews lasted from 45 to 90 minutes. Interviews were done along with all those other strategies. They did some informal observations and informal conversations along with those more formal interviews. So the category was explored from ethnicity to religion. Most Western people see a Muslim as equivalent to a specific race. So for instance, North Americans usually view a Muslim as Arab, whereas in reality, Muslim people can come from many different racial classes. Subjects saw being Muslim as their religion and not so much equating that to their ethnicity. So there's some identity problems that were created. There's a social shift happening with the classification of, nationalities and religions. So they looked at, Pakistanis, Saudis, Moroccans, etc. And these are all classified under the same umbrella, and that umbrella is the religion of being Muslim. So some instability of concepts. The interviewees did not feel there was any sort of, homogeneous Muslim group. Rather, they kind of felt that they were part of a bunch of different community groups. They themselves had a hard time identifying exactly what being Muslim meant. And the subjects claimed to identify more with their social circles and cities than they did with actually being Muslim. Though they are being classified more as Muslims as a group, most of the subjects claim they are significantly less Muslim than their parents. Some going as far to say that they aren't really Muslim at all, other than their heritage from a majority Muslim country. So again, that concept of, what is Muslim? As far as Islamophobia and racialization goes, the subjects believe a lot of their placement in these categories as, being Muslim and associating Muslims with, terrorists, and a lot of that they feel stemmed from the events of 9/11. So for them, the racialization has kind of become less about the color of the person's skin and more about the religion. So this is why Islamophobia has become a term that is more accurate a description than racism, because again, it centers on their religion of being Muslim. The interviewees believe that the hatred of white Christians towards Muslims has more to do with the decrease in people identifying as Christians and not so much to do with the Muslim groups themselves. Pakistani and Bangladeshi men, as class subjects, they had high levels of unemployment for this particular group of people. There was an overrepresentation of this class of people in low-skilled employment, high rate of incarceration, high percentages of individuals living in poverty, and the data suggests that Pakistani and Bangladeshi males are at the bottom for academic performance in the UK as well. All of these things are thought to be due to socioeconomic inequalities that they face on, a daily basis. So a summary of the results, Bangladeshi and Pakistani men are being lumped into a group that they do not feel is fair or real. They're being grouped and considered different because they do not fit into the contrived notion of quote-unquote Britishness. There is no one Muslim group. Rather, there's small groups of people who happen to be Muslim. Most negative stereotypes stem from poverty rather than race or religion. So, some critiques, we believe the authors really could have dove deeper into the socioeconomic hardships, historical events that root many of the racist views. Like, for example, they mentioned 9/11, specific to this group of Muslims, South Asian Muslims in the UK. They could have interviewed Muslims from different economics groups and different racial and religious groups in the same socioeconomic group. This would just give more comparisons to look at, some different components to the information that they gathered. The researchers should have asked how the interviewees identified themselves to show variation of self-identification within a group of people that are often lumped together. For example, in a lot of the interviews they talked about being part of smaller groups, and they all happened to be Muslims. So it would have been a nice thing to see, the self-identification piece. And here is the citation for our presentation, and I hope everyone has enjoyed.